Hey Ron, I think you had mentioned wanting to see what I was doing with Excel and what I was wanting to do with my macros, so I wanted to show you a few things. First of all, we're going to go up and pull up this thing that I use to uh, basically look at the beginning functional performance test for a unit. Now, this right here, what you're looking at is basically something I dragged from a project. It's the engineer's it's the engineer schematic. So when we first get up to test a unit, um, as opposed to SSR, who just writes down all the values, I think this schematic could be a lot more useful. So I'm just going to cut right into showing you what it looks like to use the schematic to capture values. First thing, I'll just place a text box. So now I can record the outside air temp there and the humidity here. There's some other things here. I use this down arrow and I say I want to make, two of these boxes, and I select a place close to where I want to throw them down. And we're going to do two more of these guys right here. So there's one and there's two, and that actually just did text boxes, but we're going to do callouts this time, two of them. And we'll start right here. The callouts are handy when you run out of space, and it's nice to be able to it's nice to be able to drag these guys over. And you might be thinking, well, why callouts right there? That's not that crowded. You're right, but why don't we come over here and look at these points? That's where we're going to want some good callouts. So I'm going to make six of these guys. There they are. Then all you have to do is place them where you want them. And so that would be the first part of a functional performance test. The cool thing about this is if you want to, you can duplicate this as many times as you want. And once you've placed the boxes where you want to place them, they're there. And right now, these are just values that I would read, but you can do a mixture of things like, for instance, um, I'm going to do a call out for one, and I'm going to actually get both the existing value or the actual value and the set point value. And that would be this guy right here. So you can put the actual value here in the set point. The other thing is, if we're going to be doing this, we're going to need a key so that people understand what we're looking at. So I'm going to place the key right up here. And then once you're looking at what this looks like for printing, it actually looks pretty good for the beginning of a functional performance test. So this is one tool that we use uh, that I would be using, to make my functional performance tests. There's a few others, and I want to show you that stuff. Um, let's see. There's a couple of things that it's not liking right now because I'm recording. For instance, it doesn't want to delete these guys for me. There we go. Just clean this up a little bit. All right, now here's where the real value comes. I mean, this gadget over here is pretty handy. It's pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead when I hit this, it locks in all my values. So if they get jarred around, I can just hit this button and they'll get replaced. But I want to launch into the cool part. Here's my functional performance test, and what I did was made a bunch of templates. So I'm not starting from scratch. I'm throwing in immediately um, a supply fan control, test. One thing that's pretty cool about this gadget over here is if there's anything I do want to record, I can just say, hey, I want this guy. And then maybe I want this guy and this guy and this guy. We want to record all those. And then I've got another handy macro that you see all these things that are in the brackets. Well, I'll run a macro and bam, looks nice. The other thing is there's another macro that I'll run to where when you type in to the underscore, uh, it doesn't mess it up because I'll run this guy right here, and now it goes along with the underscore. I actually inserted a underline where there was underscores. That's cool, neither here nor there, pretty neato. But this has basically everything that you'd want to put in anywhere. But I did want to show you, and the final thing that I've done so far, I'm really pumped about, and that would be um, we're going to insert a functional performance test, and it's going to be a static pressure reset. All right, so we got all these guys in here, but if you'll look, it's not predetermined how many VAV dampers that are above a certain percentage Y. So you got X VAV dampers that are above a certain percentage Y. Um, and then the same number when they're lowered, to a certain percentage Z. That's kind of control mechanism for this static pressure set. Sometimes people use just one VAV, sometimes they use multiple ones. The other thing is in the second line here, DP static pressure is raised by um, a number of inches every B seconds. And look, I see I kept the X and the Y's and the Z's all pretty consistent throughout this line of code. So um, to speed this up, we're going to say um, when the foremost, so down here X is 4, V dampers, more than 90% open, I'm going to say 90, are, and when, again, the 4 are below Z is 85. Now, so we've got X, Y, and Z, and we're going to go ahead and determine A and B. We're going to say A is going to be um, 0.5 inches, and we're going to decide that B is every 300 seconds. And this could be something we grab straight from the engineer's sequence. So I've got all this highlighted, and I just want to plug in the values. So instead of having to go into each one and change it, and I could just click for each X, Y, Z, A, B, or C value, or I can just hit all, and it adjusts everything. So all of a sudden I've got everything I need for this sequence filled out for the static pressure. So essentially what we're looking at here is the fastest way I know of to write a quality sequence. The great thing is it doesn't look like SSR sequences. It's actually better. So I'm pretty pumped about it. And anyway, you were asking about it, so I wanted to show you something. I just wanted something to record and be able to show you. So hopefully this will stop when I hit stop.